Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to try something a bit adventurous today. I'm going to try and visit two of my favourite locations in Dumfries and Galloway in the same morning. The one that I'm at is Crichope Linn, the one that I described as a forgotten gem. So I'm going to see if there's anything here that I missed on my previous two visits, and then we're going to head over to Routen Brig. And again, I'm going to see if there's anything that I might have missed and see if I can create something a bit different. So let's go and see what we can create in two of Dumfries and Galloway's best photography locations, in my opinion. Now the first thing I've noticed since getting here is this is a lot more overgrown than it was last time I was here. I mean, look at this. It's difficult to even see the path. In case you don't remember, or if you haven't seen the earlier videos, I'll leave a link somewhere. This particular location was once quite a popular must-see tourist spot, and for a while, certainly during the late 1700s, early 1800s, it was actually quite a picturesque, popular spot. But then for some reason, it fell out of favour again, and it became pretty much forgotten. Oddly, it feels as though it's been forgotten again. Let's go and see what we can find. Oh wow, there is next to no water going down the waterfall. That's surprising. We do have a little light spilling through. I've got to say, I'm rather shocked and disappointed that there's no water going over the falls. We have had a lot of rain recently, but also just the general overgrown nature of the place. It's clear that nobody has been for a while. I'm going to set up and see if we can make an image here, try and include the kind of general cauldron here, obviously include the waterfall. Hopefully we'll get another little bit of light, direct light on the moss at the side here, and we'll include that arc, the greens and the moss, and the beautiful red sandstone over there. But yeah, that's a lot less dramatic than I'd been hoping for. Right, here's what I'm doing. I've taken a couple of different exposures. I've been waiting for the light to come back here, which you can see we've got now, and it's just illuminating that moss there. It's not quite hitting the trickle of water, but it's close enough. So I'm using that light to kind of give the arc of the cauldron here of the gorge, and kind of draw the eye up to the brighter patch at the end. Similarly, the light being reflected in the water going along the stream here is doing the same. It's kind of drawing the eye up. So all in all, everything's kind of leading up to this area, but I really want the central focus to be on the waterfall. Well, what there is of the waterfall. It's a fairly simple shot. I've taken it both in horizontal and vertical orientations, and I'll decide later which one works. I will obviously have to clone out that can, which is just catching the light, but yeah, it's okay shot. I'm not that sure that it's that different from anything I got on my previous visit, so I need to work a little bit harder here, but that's at least the first shot in the bag. Right, I've been struggling to try and work out how I want to try and portray this scene. I'm still shooting the waterfall. I'm back through underneath the arch, as you can probably see. And I was trying to work out how I could portray this particular scene, and I want to try and give it a feel of kind of almost moodiness, and again adding to that forgotten feel that I mentioned earlier. I've exposed for this part here. I'm excluding the higher sky, so I'm no longer shooting the higher sky. I've just got the waterfall and these little patches of light. And as you can hopefully see, the moss covered ridges are kind of fading to darkness over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose for the highlights, and they'll disappear slowly, fade into blackness. And I'm hoping that that's going to really exaggerate that feeling of isolation. Obviously I'll enhance that slightly in post-processing if I need to. But essentially that's the shot. I'm excluding, let me just zoom in a little bit and show you. I'm excluding the gorge as well, so you don't see that reflected water in the gorge, so it's something like that. I've deliberately included the overhang here, which is just catching the light, but I've exposed for this water here, and then this is all just graduating into blackness. And in my mind's eye, that looks like quite a nice dramatic image. Whether it turns out that way is to be seen, but that's what I'm trying to achieve. Yeah, I've got to say, I think the lack of water coming over the fall and the overgrown nature of the location today means I've really got my work cut out. I think I'm going to struggle to create anything here. Even the lower falls, as you can see, are pretty much obscured. Alright, yeah, I've got down to the other end of the gorge, but again, it's quite gloomy. The fact there's no water going over that waterfall means that there's no real dramatic shots, and more importantly, the waterfalls are all jammed full of logs, as you can maybe see down there. So I'm struggling to find a composition here. Added to the fact that most of the path is completely overgrown now, so it was a bit of a struggle just to get here. I came a little bit further upstream only to find some fallen trees and the path completely overgrown with ferns and bushes and all looks like some nettles. So I've reached an end here. There is a second path which kind of followed slightly higher. I'm going to backtrack, see if I can find that again, and then we'll continue down with the route. Nope, another overgrown path and some more fallen trees. I think I'm going to call it a day. I think I'm going to about turn, make my way back down towards the arch and the gorge, see if the lights changed any, maybe grab another image or two there, and I'll head on to Routen Brig. That's a great shame. I had high hopes for today for this location, but it's just so overgrown. And it really looks as though there's been nobody here for a long time. Well, I think that's pretty much it for Crichope Linn on this particular visit. I'm leaving with a feeling of disappointment, as though I haven't achieved what I set out to do. So I want to try and turn that to my advantage, using it as motivation to make sure I definitely get something from Routen Brig. But time will tell. I'm about half an hour, 40 minutes drive from there, so I'll see you when we get there. At the moment, the waterfall is actually being backlit, and we've got some beautiful light just spilling across the falls and those lower rocks. So I'm going to try and find a viewpoint that allows me to capture that. Maybe something like that. I don't think I shot from up here before. I actually went lower down onto those rocks down there to shoot. So I don't think I've actually taken a shot from here. Right, what I've done, I've actually taken the shots, so I'm not going to talk you through me taking the shots. And the reason for that was I kind of needed both my hands. What I did was I went down there on that leaf covered ledge, used this fallen tree as a handrail, got down to the edge of where the fallen tree is, and then I shot up the waterfall, the cascade. We didn't have the direct light that we have just now, but as I was making the second shot, the light kind of broke through, so I had to recompose slightly, change the exposure times slightly because the water was burning out now because it's so bright suddenly. Yeah, that's 2 shots in the bag, and I don't think I got either of those shots first time I was here. So that's an improvement. I'm wondering if there's a shot here as well. We've got quite a lot of overhanging foliage, which is quite distracting, and as you can probably see, moving slightly in the breeze. You can include, 2 or 3 of the cascades. And more importantly, on the underside of the bridge, we've got that mossy shelf that I go out to usually at the end of my trips here. So that's, again, a different angle, a shot that I didn't get last time. There is, of course, a big difference between looking nice and being a photograph that works compositionally. But I think it worked. Oh, we're starting to get some light again now. Let me show you this. See the way we've got some dappled light on the falls and on this little rocky outcrop, and then there's light hitting the falls there as well. So that's what gives it that 3-dimensional feel. I think that's what makes it look a little bit more than just a flat 2D image. I'm going to quickly try and set up a quick composition before we lose this light again, because this is only a matter of seconds, I think, before it's gone again. So that's that. I'm making my way down to the lower levels now in the hope that there's a shot or 2 down there. I think I seem to remember last time the water was too deep to get into, so I'm kind of hoping that if Crichope Linn was a little on the dry side, then perhaps the water levels will be quite low here as well, and I can maybe get an image or 2 down here. I wonder if that arbor glyph is still here. And it is, look. Old traditions die hard. Right, well, I'm down. Let's see what we can find. Well, there is a little bit more of the just stones exposed. My problem still remains how to get to them, because I think I mentioned in the last video that although it's relatively shallow out there in the centre, the bank is quite undercut, so it's quite deep water as soon as you hit the river, and then it shallows out towards the end, the middle, sorry, and then deepens again as you approach the far bank. So it's finding a spot that I can get out to that isn't too deep to begin with. Right, well, I made it out. I keep forgetting my wellies have got a leak, so I've now got wet feet, but there you go. But I'm out. I'm on that relatively dry spot. It is still wet, but it's not as deep. And I'm just looking to see if there's a composition or two. Unfortunately, as you can probably tell, we're shooting into the sun, so that's going to cause some problems. But my first thought is, again, these incredible reflections. Unfortunately, from this particular angle, you don't see much of the waterfall, so that's kind of out. But I do like the scattering of rocks along the middle of the river, and then these beautiful reflections. So I think we'll make something of that. Right, let me talk you through this exposure. What I've done is, if you can see here, there's a little rock here which is just catching the light, and I've decided to make that my foreground element. So I've focused on that, and oh, we're losing the light again, but anyway, I focused on that, and I exposed for that, and pretty much underexposed the rest of the scene. I then took a longer exposure, still focused on that rock, and that allowed me to capture all the details in the background. Right, I've taken those shots. They look okay. Obviously the problem is you don't get an awful lot of the waterfall here. So what I'm going to do is try and make my way back onto the shore. I'm going to follow the path away from the waterfall for a while. I've never explored any further down. And then when I come back, we'll try and get out onto this ledge. Take a shot that I have kind of taken before, but you know, the light's different. There's a lot more foliage this time, so it's going to look different. Made it. Just going to have a wander down further into the trees, further downstream, just to see if we have any other potential shots. Oh, let's be down to the water's edge here. Oh, this is nice. I like the way the light is hitting down there. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Again, some lovely reflections with those overhanging branches. Yeah, I might grab a shot here. I've never been this far down, so if for nothing else, it's a record shot, isn't it? Right, I've taken this shot, but to be honest, we could do with a burst of light. That's essentially the composition. What I did was I moved slightly to my right so that we lost whatever that white thing is in the background. And amongst the foliage, you can still see a little glimpse of the reflection, but the bulk of the... Oh, we've got some light. Yes, that's a lot better. See this little patch of light here? That's just catching the eye now and the composition, and it's making this tree stand out from the background somewhat. And you've got a little patch in the foreground as well, so that's making that look a lot more kind of 3D. And the reflections here are just really standing out now. That's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I'm just firing off shot after shot at different exposures. I'm focused on this tree. I'm shooting at f16, and all I'm doing is varying the shutter speed to vary the exposure. and I'll decide later which one works. I'm concerned that obviously you could burn out the highlights because we've now got bright sun, but I'm also not wanting to lose any shadow detail, so it's a bit of a compromise as always, but yeah, that looks nice. And I would have liked to include this little patch of light here, but if I cover my hand up, see, that looks nice, but we've got a reflection of some of the sky here, and that's burning out, and that's playing havoc with the exposure, so I'm having to exclude that. I'm absolutely loving the reflections over there. I'm going to shoot that. I really like those little purple flowers as well, just catching the light, and the reflections of the water. In fact, the reflections of the grass in the water as well is just beautiful. But the reflections coming off the water on the underside of those tree branches, or the bough of the tree, is just absolutely stunning. I was tempted there to try a little macro photography, but I've left my glasses in the car and that would have been an exercise in futility there. I would have had no idea whether the images were in focus or not. I should really bring my glasses with me. I just remembered they're in my jacket pocket, and I took my jacket off after the Crichope Linn leg of the trip. Okay, I'm back at the waterfall. So I'm going to climb up that little path there onto the rocky ledge and then down again to see if there's any shots there. Alright, I've got a bad feeling that I've already taken this shot, but I've taken it again anyway because I like it. And basically what I've done is I've gone in tight, so you pretty much just this little overhanging branch that's just above the level of the top of the waterfall. That's pretty much the limit of the shot, so you're not seeing the underside of the bridge, and we've just got the waterfall zigzagging its way down. And as always, I've taken a couple of different exposures, one to try and freeze some motion, the other to try and blur it a little, and also obviously to try and catch some of the details in the darker part of the frame. And yeah, I'll blend them in post-processing if I need to. But a nice simple shot, but I like it. It's a very photogenic little waterfall, that. Right, I like what I've just done, and what I've done is I've gone in portrait orientation, so I've cut off round about there and just about there, and it's quite tight into the fall, but I have dramatically underexposed it. And the reason I did that was we actually had some direct light just hitting this bottom cascade, and everything else is quite dramatically underexposed, so I'm expecting to freeze quite a lot of the water. But obviously that top cascade, it's falling and it's quite bright, so that's probably still going to have a bit of motion blur in it. So that's it for a two-location visit, Routin Brig and Crichope Linn. Let me know what you think. I think at the moment Routin Brig's probably my favourite, but Crichope Linn, we probably just didn't get it at its best today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a little thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what your favourite image was, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, there's a link in the description below. If you liked this video, then I'll leave a link to one of my visits, my previous visits to Routin Brig, and you can compare the images. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, bye.